This is a presentation on stamps from Great Britain and too many Machins, and it is a presentation for the Winnipeg Philatelic Society, Western Canada's oldest stamp club. Now, stamps from Great Britain are identified by the Monarch, and the Monarch always faces left on definitives. And here are 5 Monarchs from 1840 to 1951, 112 years. And in that period of time, there are only 291 catalog numbers. So we have Victoria, her son Edward, his son George, George's son Edward, and George's second son George the Sixth. And you can see they all face left. There are 3 main styles of Queen Elizabeth stamps. There are the Wilding definitives and commemoratives, which were issued between 1952 and 1966. And the commemorative stamps from 1967 to now all have the gentleman cameo on them, which is taken from a coin design by Mary Gillick OBE. And you may have noted the Hong Kong stamp on the introductory slide. It features that gentleman cameo. That is not a Machin stamp. That is not the Machin image. The other stamp on the introductory slide was the Machin image. All definitives from 1967 to now feature the Machin definitive. And 1952 to 2009 is 57 years, and there are 2,453 catalog numbers in that time. So way more stamps per year than in the first 112 years. The Wilding portrait from 1952 to 1966 always faces 3/4 left, with one exception, which is the 1 and 3 stamp, the green stamp. The stamp in the middle, the 1.5 stamp, is the standard definitive stamp, and then the Wilding portrait appeared in 3/4 image on all commemorative stamps. Commemorative stamps since then all feature the cameo, and that's the gentleman cameo. And the cameo is in many different colors, every color under the rainbow basically. And it can face left or right, and it can be on the left or the right side. Apparently its placing is just basically determined by the design of the stamp. So you can see on the right hand stamp there, the Norwich Thunderstorm, the cameo is placed on the right because that's where it would fit. If it were placed on the right side on the Highland Cow stamp, it would be in the way of the horn. So it's placed on the left. There's no rule for that. Now, every rule has to have an exception, and the first exception to the rule is on the left-hand stamp, which is if Her Majesty appears on the stamp, then they don't have the cameo. On the right-hand stamp, you will see it's not a cameo, it's not a silhouette cameo, it's the actual in-relief cameo. So that's still the gentleman image, the David Gentleman image, but it's not in silhouette. Another exception to the rule is this stamp, one of the Castle series stamp. That is the Machin head portrait. So the Machin head portrait appears on a few definitive or commemorative stamps other than just the standard definitive stamp. Now, by saying there are too many Machins, I'm just kind of making a joke. There are 320 billion reproductions of that Machin piece of artwork. It's the most of any piece of artwork in the world. 220 billion have been issued by the Royal Mail. The Machin cameo has also appeared on coins of 6 countries, stamps of several countries other than Great Britain. There are 308 face different varieties up till 2009, or more, depending on how you count them. I'm the kind of stamp collector that just goes for, I just want one that looks different from another. But there are 1,700 varieties or more of the Machin stamp. So that's where I get the too many Machin line from. Here is the Machin head on a stamp from Hong Kong. Most of the Hong Kong stamps have the gentleman cameo, not the Machin cameo, but here's one with the Machin cameo. This is on a Canadian nickel, and on coins the Monarch face in opposite directions. So George VI faced left, Queen Elizabeth II therefore faces right. Now, how many different varieties are there? And there are a lot. So here are just some. And if you wish to get into Machin varieties, it's a tremendously interesting collecting area, but it's not for me. So here are the pound, shilling, pence era. Here are several examples of Machin head stamps in pounds, shillings, and pence. The 1 in 6 and 1 in 9 versions are considered two-color Machins. The others are all considered to be in a single color. The black and orange one is obviously two different colors. It's black and orange. The 1 in 6 I'm not quite so sure of, but it's considered a two-color Machin. Machins were also issued in the pound, shilling, and pence era in large size. They were much larger than the small stamps, and here is a 10 shilling and 1 pound example. Another category of varieties of Machins are coil strips and booklets, and here are several coil strips and booklets illustrated, and you can see, if you want, you can have a half P and a 7P Satanant, and you can have a 7 and a 1. If you had torn the two 1P versions off the 1/2 version, you might find it difficult to determine that it originally come from a coil strip. But you can see there's many, many different combinations, and you could have a wonderful time collecting them all. The 150th anniversary of the Imperial Penny Post showed the 1 penny black, the Queen Victoria, the world's first postage stamp from 1840. So there that is on the left. And for the 150th anniversary of the penny post, they issued 4 different stamps. I only show 3 of them here. But it imposes the Queen Elizabeth II Machin cameo over the Queen Victoria cameo. And there are 4 different varieties of that. There are more colors than you can count. Of my counting, the 86 different values below 1 pound, only 34 are in a single color. So there are many different examples of stamps with the same value but printed in different colors. So we have 3P, 3.5P, 5, 6, and 9, and they're all in different colors. And you'll see the 9P sort of reproduces the 1 in 6, I think it was, or no, I think it was 1 in 9. The 2-color Machin in black and orange. So that color was repeated in another stamp. And we can see 3. I think 4 is the greatest number of same value stamps that appear in different colors. Here are some more examples. 10, 15, 18, 19, 22, all in different colors. You will see the 19 and 22 are kind of in the same color. The 22 and 15, similar colors. And the 10P, I mean, I guess you could say that's 10P brown, but it's 3 quite different stamps. The other thing the British do is they have what are called no value indicated stamps. One of the challenges of collecting stamps from the UK is there are up to 10 different rate categories for Royal Mail, and they will issue a stamp for every one of those rate categories. So in modern commemorative stamps, they might have 10 stamps, all with a different rate, making collecting that set quite complicated. What they did, though, to avoid too many changes of stamps, they've issued first and second class stamps. And here are some of the different rate categories. You can have a second class letter, a first class letter, a letter to Europe of 20 grams, a world postcard, and a world letter. And then you can have the different rates. You can have second class large letter, first class large letter, Europe 40 grams, world second rate. So each one of those types of postage gives you a different value and a different kind of stamp. So here are some no value indicated stamps, 2 second stamps in different colors, 3 first stamps in different colors, and an E stamp that pays the rate to Europe. So there's a Machin head on an E stamp, no value, but that would pay the letter to Europe. We have further differences of no value indicated. We have worldwide up to 40 grams, Europe up to 40 grams, worldwide postcard. We remember that there was a worldwide postcard rate, so there's a stamp you could buy to do that. Worldwide 20 grams and Europe 20 grams. So many different no value indicated stamps. Further complexity, and you'll see these are still on paper because they've gone to making a kind of glue on the back of stamps that makes it really rather too much work to get the stamp off the paper. So here I have not bothered to do it. And you can see these are bigger, and you can also see that the large stamp is bigger than the first stamp. So if it pays a large letter, you get a bigger stamp. We have special delivery up to 100 grams, special delivery to 500 grams, registered signed for, first and first large, and Royal Mail signed for first and first large. So many different no value indicated stamps. The size of the stamp varies, and you can see the 37p up in the top left-hand corner. That's the standard size. In the early days, you can see there's a 10p stamp, so that's after decimalization, and they continued at a time when 10p was a lot of money to mail something with, to make those stamps large. And the £1.60 stamp below it, it's also bigger because in its day it paid a lot of money for a letter. You can see the orange stamp to the left. It's £1.17. They've kind of decided, you know what, never mind. All the stamps, even if they're above £1, suddenly £1 isn't so much money anymore. We're just making them all small. So they have stamps up to £3 in the small size. We also have the horizon labels, 2 different colors, a white one and a gold one. They are for different values because you print the label for the value you need. So the white one is £2.27, and the much larger gold one is for £8.80, but you could get many different values for those. Elliptical perfs. I was kind of pleased with myself when I did this because I have a stock book full of Machins, and I had not understood that there were 2 different types of elliptical perfs, and they're supposed to be to prevent counterfeiting stamps. Why you want to prevent the counterfeiting of a 1p stamp, I don't know, but apparently you do. So these are theoretically 3 stamps that are all the same color, though magnified like this you can see that they're all slightly different colors because at the date of issue the color changed slightly. And the other thing you can see is that the elliptical perfs are in the middle stamp, they're kind of round, whereas on the right-hand stamp, they're kind of square. If you look closely, you'll see they're different. I was quite pleased with myself because I opened up my stock book, took 3 stamps that were right sitting beside each other out, and looked at them under magnification and went, oh, look at that. I found what I need. I thought that was kind of funny. Security slits, another thing to prevent reuse of stamps. If a stamp doesn't get cancelled, and that's kind of the Royal Mail's fault, not mine, but if it doesn't get cancelled, someone can, in the good old days, soak it off the letter, now much more difficult, peel it off the letter, and the idea with the security slits was it would make it impossible to peel an uncancelled but used stamp off a letter. And you can see there's 4 different varieties. We have just at the side, we have at the top in a wide, and in a narrow version. And then we have only at the bottom. So there's 4 different types of security slits that give you varieties. So here are some examples of security slits. And remember that I said they are intended to make it impossible to remove the stamp from the letter. And you can see that the 2 left-hand stamps have been successfully removed from the letter without destroying the stamp. So you can do it if you're careful. Though you are left with a lot of glue in the back of the stamp, and from mounting it in your album, I've kind of concluded that it's just too much work. So 4 different combinations. The top 2 stamps both have the very difficult to remove glue. Both have elliptical perforations, but only the stamp on the left has security slits, and the stamp on the left also has security backprint, which is intended to make the stamp more difficult to counterfeit. The bottom 2, glue and slits, but not backprint, and on the very right-hand bottom, that stamp just has elliptical perfs. But the 2 stamps look the same, top and bottom look like they're the same stamp, but technically they're not if you wish to collect by elliptical slits or the year it was produced. Security backprint, which I mentioned. On all definitive stamps after, I forget the date, we come to it on the next slide, but instead of printing Royal Mail, you'll see where it's circled. They've got M13L instead of MAIL and MCIL instead of MAIL. So that tells us that that stamp was printed in 2013. And the C means something too. We'll see that in a sec. So here are 2 stamps, or 4 stamps, or 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 different stamps. And if you look at it closely under magnification, we have actually, if you care, 15 different stamps. I think I would say there are 4. I would only count the first column as being different because I'm not going to get into looking at all the security backprint. But this is from 2013, and these are all the different varieties from 2013. You could collect them all if you felt like it. So we have 2 sets of varieties. The first column says male and MA13. The second column is MBIL and M13L or MA13, MA13 and M13L, so those are all different. Third column MFIL, fourth column MTIL, MSIL, MCIL, and MRIL. And those letters all mean something. And here it is. MBIL comes from a business sheet. And this started in 2009, and after 2009 it became M10L in 2010 and after that. MCIL is a custom booklet. MFIL, this makes sense, is a booklet of 4. MSIL is a booklet of 6. MTIL, booklet of 12. MRIL, roll of 10,000. MPIL is a prestige booklet, and MMIL is from a miniature sheet. Because what they will do in a prestige booklet is they will print a Machin commemorative, a Machin definitive, and a commemorative stamp or 2 or 3 or 4. And sometimes they will issue miniature sheets with 2 or 3 Machin stamps. There's a whole variety of things that the Royal Mail does. Now in 2013, there was no MPIL or no MMIL. So all the 2013 variations for the, as I say, 2 or 4 stamps are shown. Depends how technical you want to get to see whether they're different. Another difference is the printer. And you kind of need an expert to do this because it depends on tiny differences in the tiara. And if you're an expert, you can look at this under magnification and figure out who printed it. Harrison, De La Rue, Walsall, Cuesta, and Shade. And is it photogravure, lithography, photogravure, self-adhesive, or photogravure, self-adhesive? And you see the fourth one down at the bottom is deep red as opposed to orange. They're all supposed to be the same color, but you can see they're not. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 different stamps that you would think were all the same stamp, but an expert will tell you, no, they're different. Endless fun with Machins. Again, 1 or 8, and so we have the 5 different printers and the different types of printing, photo or lithography or self-adhesive, bright head, dull head, business sheet. And again, some more stamps, again by printer and again by photogravure or lithography. Is it 2 or 16 different stamps? And someone that knows what they're doing will tell you that no, there's 16 different stamps and you can identify them separately. So, as I said, there are too many Machins. There are lots and lots of ways that you can collect these stamps. There are many dealers that only sell Machins, and they specialize, and they will allow you, and they will have done the sorting for you. If you're really, really, really into it, you need to get the Degum catalog, which used to be printed, and it was, I don't know, 6 inches thick when they printed it. They no longer print it. It's got so huge. It's bigger than the Stanley Gibbons catalog for Great Britain. So if you want that, you go to degum.com and buy it. Robin Harris, who's from Winnipeg and a member of our club, has a really cool site called adminware.ca/Machins. And he lists many of the varieties, clearly not as many as in the Degum catalog, but he has had a lot of fun with Machins. I used his site because I wanted to know in 2015 what were the different looking Machin stamps that were issued, because that's all I want to use in my collection. So I was able to use his website, which is a great website, for that purpose. So thanks for listening.